even though, like I said, we still have more we want from our offense, I don't think that anything happened in this game that went against what we were anticipating for our recipe for success in terms of playing really good defense, really good special teams, and just protecting the ball on offense. Don't be in a disaster, not killing yourselves on offense, not turning the ball over. I thought that they checked all those things in a sense, man.
I would have liked Pickens to get some more targets. I think that's the only thing in terms of expectations versus reality.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked Pickens to be more involved. But we did have that deep shot to him, so if he catches that and he goes for 80 yards for a touchdown, we're definitely singing a different tune.
Two things. Would I've liked him to be more involved? Absolutely. But the reason Pickens wasn't involved in the same way as Claypool and even Miles Boykin to an extent is they're built up to speed guys. They're down the field threats. As I said, with this offense, we're not built just yet to take some of those longer developing drop backs and stuff like that without having to compromise who's out there, right? Because the alternative is what? Bring in 2 tight ends to help your offense line out. But now you're running only 2 receiver routes. So coverage-wise, that's going to have some of his issues as well. If we wanted to take more chances downfield, you're just going to open up this offensive line to potential negativity. Not saying that they couldn't, because at times they did make the block. You look at the play where where he hits Deontay, he makes the crazy one-handed catch. That's them dudes up there winning their one-on-one matchups in terms of the protection, gave Mitch the time to take the shot. Now that was a one-off. If you think that they could do that more often, that's a different conversation. I personally don't think this offensive line would have been able to hold up like that for 4 quarters doing that type of protection. But in that sense, it worked out. So once again, it's kind of like what you're willing to risk. Because what is the pros and cons? The pros are, hey man, you can stretch the field, you can hit some deep throws, you can open this defense up, make them feel a little bit more on their heels versus always being the attacker. But the cons are potential strip sacks, potential quarterback hits, potential quarterback being hurried and throwing and making a bad read, interception, stuff like that. So that's kind of what you have to deal with, and you're asking yourself, hey, can our offense overcome 2 turnovers? Because the Bengals, they felt confident that their offense could overcome 5 turnovers and still be fine. Do we feel like our offense can overcome multiple turnovers and still go out there and win a game in regulation?
I don't want to be messing with that right now.
I don't either. So that's why for me, it's like if that means I don't get a chance to see Pickens all the way, or I don't get a chance to see Claypool all the way, but we're not turning over and our defense is doing what they're supposed to do, our special teams is doing what we're supposed to do, and we're able to stack wins, I'm all for that. Like I said, it's not glamorous, it's not pretty, it's not going to be the best for my bet interest either, but if that's what it takes to win, it's like, hey man, I kind of like it.
What about Pickens, though? I know he's a deep threat. We did see him a few times in preseason.
Stuff,
or not even crosses, just like quick outs. We could do that at least.
They did throw one to him.
And that was it. Yeah, I think that was his only catch, really.
Yeah.
And then it was, a gain of 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think he was doing that a lot even in preseason. If you could just give him the ball, almost heat up like you were talking about with Jamar Chase. I think Pickens is one of those guys, man.
Yeah. And
that could be protecting the quarterback too, getting the ball out quick like that.
And when we're talking about Matt Canada, he's going to be looking at the tape and saying similar things. Because let's be real, even though when I come up here and I talk about Matt Canada's offense and it's on a positive manner, it's more so just to give you context, to say, hey man, it's not like what people are trying to say, because a lot of that is narrative based. If you want a particular person in, if you want a person fired, everything that person does, you're going to look at it with a negative light or a pessimistic scope versus an optimistic scope. But to me, man, with Matt Canada, he's going to look back at this and say, okay, where can I get better at? Could I call a little bit more of the screen stuff, because we saw some of the success there? Should I call a little bit more of the rollouts versus, trying to sprint out? You know what I mean? Should I call, instead of regular bootleg, should I go with the naked bootleg? You know what I mean? Like certain things like that, some of the misdirection stuff. He's going to look at that and say, okay, this is where I can improve. This is where I need to, dial this back and up this. He's a professional. So for me, after one game, I'm just taking that approach that, hey, he's going to make some corrections. He's going to make some adjustments as well. We just got to see what it looks like coming up this week. But I do anticipate Pickens potentially having a little bit more expanded role. Also, I want to see them feature Pat Freiermuth a little bit more. Even though he was hot and he was making plays, I still think they could do a lot more with him.
Some of that was on off schedule stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Last throw, obviously. And the other one was on a flea flicker.
Yeah, it was a flea flicker. Yeah.
The biggest chunk of his yards. Can we just get him the ball normally? Is what you're saying, like on hook routes or like slants across the middle.
But even on that, the reason why you have to go double reverse flea flicker is because that was an out and up. That's a longer developing play. If you ask this offensive line to protect, you watch this tape of Pat Fry move, blocking, 5 out, wheel it up. That offense line is not holding. That's a really nice
throw by Mitch.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's
and it was with pressure in his face on top of that, bro.
Yeah, and that had to be dropped over the linebacker. That was a nice throw.
Those are some of the things, though. It's like that to me is good, but once again, Matt Canada will have to go back and look and say, okay, how can I create more of that? How can I create more explosive plays? But it's a week by week thing, man.
Yeah, I hope we're not running too many flea flickers.
As long
it's
as
cool. All right, one a game's fine.
I would agree.
One trick play a game's fine because we used to do that with Randall.
Yeah. And I think of it this way: it worked for us in that sense, right? And we saw the Rams and Bills play, and it hurt the Rams, right, when they try to do it. It's a desperation thing. It's one of them things where it's like, all right, we need to come up with something to give us some type of pop in the arm right now. What can we go with? That's kind of the approach with it, you know? DraftKings Sportsbook. And you know we got big time love for DraftKings Sportsbook. But when we're talking about DraftKings, we know they are the #1 rated sports booking app. Not only are they safe, but they are secure. And just like Deke, and I love to say this, they are reliable because reliability matters. And you don't want to be playing anywhere else but with DraftKings Sportsbook. So if you haven't downloaded the app, make sure you do that. But more importantly, once you do so, use the promo code MOATS. And when you make that first bet for $5, a minimum of $5, because, you know, you don't have to hold yourself back. Some people are big spenders, and I get that. But when you make that first bet of a minimum of $5, you're going to get $200 in free bets coming right back to you. All you need to do is use the promo code MOATS for that. And after that, baby, you get to have a little fun. You get to go out there and, you know, get a chance to make a little money and have all that good stuff happening. But, Deke, I am aware that at times people, you know, they can't handle it. Sometimes it becomes a little bit too much for them, and they fall into this other category where they might have a problem.
Yeah, we don't like to see it.
As I look at my screen right now, the screen just went black, and it's a lot of information up there with DraftKings Sportsbook. In particular, for my New York people, you see it's a number that you can call. You can even text it. But then for everybody else, those of you that don't live in New York, it's a number that you can call as well. And that number is 1-800-GAMBLER. I say there's 1-800-GAMBLER. I said, if you have a gambling problem or you need some crisis counseling, you better go ahead, say, now talk to me. Now you better call 1-800-GAMBLER. Gambler! Oh, talk to me now. Gambler! 1-800-GAMBLER.